Hello, Internet. This is a demo video about a recently released tool called Uchu tool, which is intended for setting up the LEGO Universe server project known as Uchu. So this is a guide for Windows. There will also be another video for macOS that'll go up about the same time as this one, which is mostly the same, but it's a tiny bit different. If you're doing this for Linux, it'll be closer to the macOS video than the Windows video. So for the actual setup, there's two tools you need instead of one. So the way that all LEGO Universe server projects work is they do not include the LEGO Universe launcher or the LEGO Universe client itself. This is where something like Nexus LU launcher comes in, which is a tool I developed for downloading and connecting to servers for LEGO Universe. So you'll need this as well as the actual tool itself. I will link the GitHub releases, so this actual window, in the description of this video. So there's, for the two files you need, if you're doing it on Windows, you need the Windows version, and if you're on macOS or Linux, you'll need one of those versions. So you need Nexus LU Launcher. Well, you should use Nexus LU Launcher. You can use Uchu tool without it, but there are some extra steps involved that I'm not going over in this video. And the other thing you need is the actual tool itself, which again is under releases, and grab the Windows version of Windows, macOS or Linux if you need one of those. And once both of those are done downloading, they will appear in your downloads. After they're downloaded, you no longer need your browser of choice, which I was using Microsoft Edge because this is a bare install of Windows. And once you have those, you can extract both of these. And I'm just going to extract them directly to downloads. You can put them in a more permanent location if you want. That. So for the downloads, there's two of them, Nexus LU Launcher and Uchu Tool. You can ignore this one for now and focus solely on Nexus LU Launcher. It currently is 7 files, unfortunately, instead of 1. It can be compressed down into more, but I have not done that for at least this release. That might change in the future. So to start, double click on Nexus LU Launcher and you'll get this pop-up saying Windows is protected to your PC. It can't determine if it's safe or not because this application is not signed. You can ignore this by doing more info and run anyway. If you do not trust this application, then simply do not run it. After you press run anyway, you'll get this window. There's a couple buttons that you can play, but the only one you need to worry about for now is the play button. Once you press it, this will actually start downloading and extracting the client. This will take a little while to complete because of how many files there are. Even though it's about 4.5 gigabytes for the download, the actual extracting is about 12 gigabytes. There's nothing else you need to do at the moment. You do not need to press this add button. If you accidentally try to close it, you'll get this pop-up, and you can just press X to not close the client while it's downloading. And since this takes a little while, about 10 minutes on this virtual machine that I'm running it under, I will cut the video now, and I will resume once the actual downloading extracting has completed. Okay, now that the downloading extracting has completed, there is nothing else you need to do inside the launcher, so you can just close it. Now you need to go back to Uchu tool itself. It is a single file, and it is an executable, so you can just double click to run it. Again, you'll get this Windows security prompt, more info, and run anyway to ignore it, but if you do not trust the application, then do not run it. What this tool does is it downloads the latest release of Uchu, and then it'll actually start the server. Every time that you run this tool, it will check for updates because new releases are going to be coming up with time. And on Windows, at least, this is different for macOS and Linux. There are two terminal-like windows that appear. There's going to be one that's labeled authentication with a port number, and there's going to be one labeled character with a port number. You can ignore character for now, and you can go to the authentication window. To add your user, because by default there's no user set up to log into, you do /add user and then the name of your user, like the Nexus Defender, for example. You'll then be prompted to enter a password. I'm just going to enter test. And at that point, the server is ready to go. The last thing you need to do is you need to go back to Nexus LU Launcher, start it, and this time, you'll notice that a local server was configured automatically for you. This is because of Uchu tool automatically setting this up for you, so you do not need to configure this at all. if you ever accidentally delete it, which you'll get a prompt for deleting it if you actually do so, you'll need to enter localhost as your server, which would be in the address thing, and the name can be whatever you want. It just has to be recognizable. After this, you can press play to start. This will not work as expected on my virtual machine. It'll just throw this error just because I do not have graphics acceleration set up on this virtual machine, but at this point, LEGO Universe will launch. If this is your first time downloading LEGO Universe, it'll tell you to accept the license. And then after that, you can enter your username and password in the login screen, and everything will work as expected. And with that expected meaning what actually works in Uchu. If you were to rerun this tool after, say, closing it, you will get it'll check for updates, and if there are updates, it'll download the latest update, and then it'll launch with those updates. We anticipate to be doing releases every few pull requests or so, but we might look into automating that so it's potentially like every pull request. So every feature that we approve will result in a new release. And that is the end for this demo. If you're interested in the macOS or Linux one, there is another video for this.